Hey everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video, you can probably already guess, judging by whatever title I'm going to give the video, but we're going to be talking about death. It is going to be a slightly morbid topic today. I am going to make it funny, but if you're not in the mood to hear about death, if you've had a bad day and you don't think morbid jokes about death and the miraculous characters will cheer you up, this video is certainly not for you at this time. So, I have been writing my thesis for like the past 2 or 3 weeks now, and a lot of my thesis is about suicide, so for several years now I've just been thinking about death pretty much every day for my PhD, and we do kind of have like a running theme of death on this channel because we do the Hunger Games simulator, so I thought this was quite fitting, you know, for what we usually discuss on this channel. So in today's video, we're going to explore how I think, feel free to disagree with me, but we're going to explore how I think the miraculous ladybug characters would die if this show was for adults. Now, whenever I watch Miraculous, I know I've said this before, whilst I enjoy it, but I'm well aware that I'm an adult, and whilst I have no problem an adult enjoying a kids show, there are often things I want to happen in the show that I know just won't, because they're more like adult things you'd see in adult shows that you're not going to get in a TV show. So whenever I make theories for the show or when I do my like reviews of the episode, I always try to keep that in the back of my mind. Like, yeah, you might have wanted this to happen, but that was never going to happen because that's like an adult thing. It only happens in adult shows. So just forget about that. Also, when I like offer like, okay, well, I wasn't too big on that part of the episode and I offer like a different way to do it that I thought would have fitted it, I try and again keep in mind any solutions I come up with to make sure they would fit with the genre and the target audience. However, that being said, I do upon occasion like to imagine what the show would be like if it was for an older teenage audience, or indeed if it was for people my age, if it was for adults. So that's basically what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be exploring the strengths and weaknesses of each characters in terms of like their fatal flaw, what could possibly lead to their death, and then exploring how I think they would die in the show. However, like I said, honestly, because I've spent like 3 years studying death now, some of this does get kind of depraved towards the end, so warning for you if you're really not in the mood, even just slightly not in the mood. This video isn't for you. Please don't worry about me though. I know some of this is a bit like, okay, Hayes, but I have therapy every week, and honestly, if you're doing a PhD in suicide, I would recommend at least more than once a week. Anyway, let's just start the video. Okay, so here we go. This is the fun little slideshow I made of how would all the miraculous ladybug characters die if the show was for adults. So let's go into it. Starting off with everyone's favourite, or maybe not because a lot of people hate her, Marinette. So her strengths: stalking. She's great at following people, what can I say? As much as she shouldn't do it, I think it's a strength she has acquired over the course of the show. And she is also an absolute beast with a yo-yo. I wouldn't know what to do with a yo-yo. I probably managed to hit someone in the head once with it and then throw it away. So yeah, she's great on those 2 points. However, she is also the clumsiest person alive, not the best trait. And she is blind, because she hasn't worked out that Adrian is Cat Noir. And she also pretty much ignored Cat Noir all last season. I don't know what drug she was on, for God's sake, Marinette. I was so disappointed in her. So, how'd she die? Saving Adrian, undoubtedly. He would get hurt by Shadow Daddy and she would sacrifice herself to save him, probably by giving Gabriel Babes her miraculous, and then he'd probably shove her off a monument anyway and she would fall to her death. You know, Shadow Daddy, he likes to throw people off monuments, as we saw in the episode Ladybug. It's his favourite pastime. I could definitely see Marinette going that way, just in my opinion. Up next we have Adrian. His strengths: nice hair. I love Adrian's hair. Well, I mean, it's in the weird banana hairstyle, but it's still nice hair at the end of the day. Fencing. He's great at fencing. Judging from what we've seen in the show, it seems that Adrian and Kagami are like the best at fencing in the class, so that's great. And he has like fencing awards around his room, so I'm assuming he's pretty good at it. And if he wasn't pretty good at it, his dad probably wouldn't like that, so I hope he's good at it. Puns. He's great at making jokes in dramatic situations, and puns itself, I find puns so hard to do. I think they're hilarious, but I never think of them. People who think of puns are just like next level intelligence, in my opinion. Then weaknesses, daddy issues. Also mummy issues. He's allergic to feathers, which could be a weakness in a show that now has life or death stakes. And he's also blind, obviously. So how he'd die? Probably walk into a wall due to his horrendous eyesight and hit his head so bad he goes into a coma and never wakes up. Just like his mum. Up next we have Alya. Love Alya. She's great at giving advice, that's an obvious strength. I need an Alya in my life to basically be my personal assistant, to be honest, just help me. She's also beautiful. We stan Alya. She pulls off every single outfit she's ever been in. Alya is gorgeous. No, I won't be taking any constructive criticism on that comment at this moment, or actually any moment in time ever, so shh. And she's also very confident. I wish I had her confidence. Oh my god, it would help me so much. However, weaknesses, she can get angry quite easily. And she is very attached to her phone, which I guess could maybe be a strength, but I think most people, myself included, would view it as a weakness. So how she'd die? To be fair, she probably wouldn't, since she's so smart. But if she has to die, and she has to, okay. She'd probably get too close to working out Gabriel Babes as Shadow Daddy, and he'd send Natalie to assassinate her. I have a headcanon that, in this version of Miraculous, where the stakes are a lot higher and anyone and everyone can die, Natalie and Lila are 100% Gabriel's assassins, where he sends them out to silence people who've annoyed him, or didn't get his Starbucks order correct, or looked at him the wrong way. I could totally see that happening. Now we have Nino! Strengths! Awesome voice. I think Nino, for the English dub anyway, has had 2 voice actors and I love the voice for both of them. I think he's great. He also calls Gabriel Daddy. If you remember in the episode The Bubbler, he refers to Gabriel as Daddy-o. So, me and Nino, same wavelength, obviously. We're twins. Weaknesses. He has the worst sibling in the show, which is a weakness on Nino's part for having to be related to him. He looks bad without his hat, as we saw in Chameleon. Oh my god, Nino, please wear a hat for the rest of your life unless you change your hairstyle. He also can't keep a secret to save his life. God, he's awful. How he'd die? Chris would probably kill him. Chris would totally smother Nino in his sleep, no doubt about it. Why? Because Chris is a psychopath. Do I need to say more? Up next we have Chloe. Yay! Strengths, her wardrobe. I do like Chloe's clothes in the show. Weaknesses, herself. And also mummy issues. She's got some mummy issues going on. How she'd die? She'd probably get most of the city killed through her own actions, so not wanting to die, the rest of the Parisians would have a French Revolution 2.0 against Chloe, but instead of storming the Bastille, they storm the hotel and chop her head off with a guillotine. A very French death. Is it guillotine or guillotine? To be fair, it's not a word I often hear said out loud. Ever, really. So, you know, it's been a while since I watched Les Mis. I mean, Les Mis isn't even set during the French Revolution. It's actually set during the June Rebellion. This is something that annoys me so much. The French Revolution. Let me go off on a tangent. The French Revolution is one of my favourite periods of history. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Les Mis is set during the French Revolution. I'm like, no, it's not. It's set during the June Rebellion. Get it right. Get it right. It's going to annoy me for the rest of my life, to be honest. I let things get to me far too easily. Okay, up next we have Luka. Strengths, music. He's great with music and also music related metaphors. Honestly, I don't really understand it, but he's good at them. Everyone else seems happy about it, so I'm happy too. He's also really good at not having any self-respect. Well done, Luka. Weaknesses, a severe lack of eyelashes. Dates girls who like other guys. That's not good for your mental health or for their mental health. He also has daddy issues. Marinette really likes to date people who are largely the same. I remember someone on a different server, not my Discord server, someone else's, is that they really hate the fact that Luka is like the other love interest for Marinette because he's too similar to Adrian. He's basically just blue-haired Adrian. I'm like, yeah, that's supposed to be the point because they're similar, but he's not Adrian. The same way Kagami's meant to be like Ladybug. That's the point. They're not exactly the same, but they're meant to be similar. That's kind of the idea behind it, you know? I swear to God. People just have zero logic where this show is concerned and hate it for absolutely no reason. Video on that coming soon. I have thoughts. Anyway, how Luka would die. Would immediately go after Marinette to save her and die in the process. The lack of self-respect he has is astonishing and would definitely lead to his demise. He would totally go and save her because he's like, I'm still in love with her, and he'd die. That's what I think would happen. Sorry, Luka. I do really like Luka. You just, he needs some counselling. Honestly, he needs to start loving himself. Because, like, in truth, it just absolutely broke me to him. Like, yeah, I already know Marinette's in love with Adrian. Like, what's new? Like, why are you with her? I could, if I knew. Like, it's different if you're with someone and you don't know they like someone else. That's a different story. But if you know, why would you put yourself through that? I couldn't. I'm sorry, Luka. Maybe you're just a different breed to me. But, couldn't do it. Up next we have Kagami. Yay! She's great at fencing. Obviously, we discussed that before. She dislikes people, which, as someone who also dislikes a lot of people, I see that as a strength, to be honest. And that hatred for everything, it really drives her through life. I think it's really admirable, to be honest. Honestly, part of the reason I really dislike Kagami is because I was a lot like her in high school. Weaknesses, she's very, very arrogant. I'm not a big fan of people who are arrogant. That is like my #1 top personality trait. If you are arrogant, I will dislike you immediately. No, there's a difference between being confident and arrogant, and she is arrogant. And she's also very prideful, which is going to be to her detriment, because I think she'd die by probably getting so into fencing that she'd demand to defend her honour and challenge someone to a duel to the death, but she'd lose and get stabbed. Probably not with a fencing saber, because I don't think you can actually really harm someone, because they're like bendy, aren't they? And because she's too prideful to ask for help, she'd bleed to death. My headcanon is that Kagami would never call an ambulance. She'd be like, no one call an ambulance, I will get to the hospital myself. And she'd just bleed out and die on the street on the way there. Sorry. Honestly, even though I don't like Kagami, I've given some of the characters I like a lot more worse deaths than this. Wait till we get to Mark. Up next we have Max. He's very, very clever. He has very nice hair. I love Max's hair, one of the best hairs in the show. And he has a very cool mum. However, weaknesses. He can't swim. So how he die? He'd drown, obviously, like he did in Risk. Like, oh, I was about to say, did Max actually drown? No, he's probably multiplication, wasn't he? Wouldn't it just be funny? Also not really funny, quite morbid, if we just never saw Max again because he died. Sorry. Anyway, and knowing these kids will probably happen in the sewers. Of all the places to drown, you wouldn't want to drown in sewage water. Ugh, nasty. Up next we have Alix. I love Alix. So, her strength, she knows what she wants. I think it's really admirable to know what you want and go after it. And she also has great hair. It's pink hair. If you have pink hair, great person, obviously. Maybe not as flawed logic. Weaknesses, she's a bit too eager. And she's also quite competitive. Whilst I don't think these aren't necessarily bad traits with the way Alix executes them, I don't always think they work out in her favour. So how she'd die, thinks she can easily win while fighting an Akuma in civilian form because she's too eager and competitive, and immediately gets decapitated. Which I know a lot of you who watch me, English is your second language. You probably don't know what that word means. It means get your head chopped off. That's what would happen. Now we have Kim. Strengths. He's a great swimmer. So literal strength. Like, you need a lot of strength to be a good swimmer. Which is why I'm terrible at it, because my arms are made out of noodles. Weaknesses though, his hair. Not a fan of that. He also has a gambling addiction. The amount of bets this boy makes, not good. And he also had a crush on Chloe at one point. If that's not a weakness, then I don't know what is. So how he'd die. So going back to Animan, he would try to chase the cheetah, but because this is for adults, he would get mauled to death. So Kim wouldn't last very many episodes. He'd have origins and like, what, Bubbler, Stormy Weather, Eve Illustrator, death. Said that far too happily. Okay, up next we have Mylene. Strength. She's lovely. Absolutely lovely. She has a lovely boyfriend too. Everything about Mylene is lovely. Weaknesses though, she is afraid of everything. And don't get me wrong, a bit of fear is good, but to be scared of literally everything is it's a bit of an issue. she's a bit too nice, you know what I mean? A bit too nice. I like people who are nice, but she's too nice. You need a bit of skepticism, you know? And she's also small. I'm 5'8". I will 100% make fun of you if you're small. I don't just mean smaller than me, like you're 5'6". I can go behind that. I mean like really small. I will make fun of you. Like I make fun of my niece for being small. She's like, I'm 4, I'm not gonna grow. And I'm like, it's not my problem, you're small. I have some more issues to sort through apparently. So how she'd die, she would confront Kagami's mum and Gabriel Babes about the oxygen tower situation, obviously going back to Mega Leech. She tried to expose them, then they'd send Lila to silence her. Mylene would get assassinated along with Alya. I can see that happening. It's bad that I can see that happening. Next up we have Ivan. I love Ivan, he's so sweet. He's an absolute angel. Will stand up for himself. Like he's nice, but he's like, no. Like in Horrificator, he was like, do not hurt Mylene. So whilst he's lovely, he knows when a line has been crossed and he's had enough. He won't just sit down and take it. He's not a doormat. He'll stand up and say something. That's what I like about him. Lovely, but lovely to a point, do you know what I mean? And he can shout very loudly. I can also shout very loudly. Me and Ivan. Also, twins. Me, Nino and Ivan. The triplets you never, never thought of. Weaknesses though, he has very strange hair and he has an odd fashion sense. I know these aren't really any weaknesses, but Ivan's so sweet and pure. I couldn't find anything that bad about him, although I do stand behind the comment about his hair. It is very strange. And also the shape of his eyebrows. It's a bit weird. Anyway, how he'd die. He would be trying to save as many cats as possible at the animal sanctuary. Maybe an Akuma villain is heading there, and he would totally sacrifice himself for them and not care about his own safety. Something Ivan would definitely do. He's so sweet. I love Ivan. Oh my god. Ivan is so underappreciated. What a great guy. Up next we have Rose. Strengths. She is a ball of sunshine. She likes unicorns. Obviously that's a strength if you don't like unicorns or what's wrong with you. And she's an optimist. That's really admirable. Because I'm not an optimist. I wouldn't say I'm a pessimist either. I'm a realist. I'm in the middle. I'm like, Weaknesses. She's far too trusting. And oh my god, her voice is so high. Ugh, I am so glad she doesn't get many more lines than she already does, because she'd give me earache, to be honest. So how she'd die? She'd trust the wrong person, she'd just be trying to help them. They have bad intentions and brutally murder her on the spot without anyone being able to save her. Sorry, Rose. Now we have Juleka. Strengths. Stealth, because she's so quiet. She's stealthy. Weaknesses. I have no idea what she's ever said in the show apart from in season 1. How she'd die? Because she's so quiet, she'd try and help people get to safety during a Kuma attack, but because she's so quiet, she'd scare someone so much that they accidentally kill her. You couldn't hear her coming. You just hear someone whispering in your ear, like dead close, and then you'd be like, ugh, and then like turn around and reflexively punch her in the throat and she's dead. Can you kill someone from punching them in the throat? That's not something we should explore. Up next we have Nathaniel. Strengths. He's good at drawing. He's also good at doing an impression of a tomato. Weaknesses. He has a severe lack of sense of style. And he's also very, very whiny. Oh my god, right. So ages ago, like before season 4 started, I think maybe when season 3 was still airing, I did a video that was like ranking all the miraculous characters. It was well before I hit 1,000 subscribers. Probably even before I hit 100 subscribers, so most of you won't have seen it. And I don't remember where I put Nathaniel on it, but I think at the time I was like, is he my favourite character? No. Do I hate him? Also no. However, oh my god, Nathaniel in Panel Team was so whiny when Mark was like, hey, come and play football. He was like, oh no, what if I hit my head? And then when Ladybug was trying to get miraculous, he's like, ugh, I don't like working in teams. Nathaniel, shut up! Oh god, he was so annoying, like, oh, I really dislike him now. So how he'd die? He'd whine so much and refuse to help because, oh no, what if my hand hurts and I can't draw anymore? So everyone abandons him and he starves to death. Yeah. Now we have Mark, my son. Strengths. He's my son, he's related to me, obviously, that's a strength. Writing, he inherited that from me. I'm a published author, he's a comic book writer. Runs in family. He is also super cute, which as you can see, he also inherited that from me. Weaknesses, he's far too cute. and he's also dating Nathaniel. Why? Mark, my boy, you deserve a lot better than him. So how he die? Everyone is jealous of how cute he is, so they take him hostage, and while he's still alive they cut his face off so they can keep it and stare at his beauty forever, and he bleeds out due to his injuries. I was very tired when I wrote this slide in my defence. And honestly, it's the only way I could envision him dying. He's just so adorable. Like, look at that face. The image of pure perfection. He is adorable. I love him. Finally, for today's video, we have Lila. So her strengths. Lying. She can be very good at it, in getting people to listen to her and manipulate them. And her outfit is another strength. They gave like one of the villains of the show one of the best outfits, and I love it. Weaknesses, also lying. If you want to be a good liar, you have to be consistent, which Lila frequently is not. And also a lot of her lies aren't even good, but everyone believes them anyway. I remember in the episode, is the episode Ladybug, when Natalie's like, maybe it's time we should call on Miss Rossi's psychological talents. And I was like, I'm sorry, her what? She's terrible at it. The only reason her lies work is because the rest of the class are stupid. Honestly, it's a wonder that Marinette and Adrian don't believe her, to be honest. And her other weakness is her hair. They gave her the best outfit, but they had to balance it out with the weirdest hairstyle ever. So how'd she die? She worked for both Shadow Daddy and Ladybug, but betrayed them both for her own scheme. And then when Ladybug and Shadow Daddy find out, they unite against their hatred for her and strangle her to death. And that's the end of the presentation. So yeah, besties, that's what I think. If you completely disagree and think, for example, Mark couldn't have such a brutal death, that's totally fine. I guess. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Obviously that was pretty much just all the kids apart from Felix and the younger kids. Maybe I should have done Felix anyway. So I didn't do Felix or the younger kids like Manon and stuff. I didn't do any of the adults. Gabriel, Natalie, Miss Bustier, Speen, Tom, whoever. Mr. Banana, what a legend. So if you totally want a part 2 of this, we can definitely do that. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I love a good talk about death, and usually what I do for my PhD is a lot more depressing since it's real. And this is fake. You know, I mean, there's a bit of a difference making up deaths for fictional characters and studying the death of real life people. So I hope you like that video, besties, if like is the right word to use for a video like this. But I'd love to know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!